What's it like hunting with KJ from a youth perspective? I've got my son on the show today here on Gun Talk Hunt. All right, welcome Gun Talk hunters, and I hope you guys are out prepping those fields and getting ready for this upcoming hunting season. It's going to be a good one this year. I really have a good feeling about it. Today, I'm joined by a special guest. He is my very own son. I can't believe he actually agreed to come on the show, which is surprising. Jett, we've got Jett on. Jett, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing surprisingly well. It's a great time to be a Gun Talk hunter because seasons are coming up. But this Gun Talk hunt is brought to you by Silencer Central. Silence delivered. We appreciate all the help. And Jett, today we're going to talk a little bit about really kind of like what your hunting season was like and what you did and all that good stuff. So talk me through your how you kind of got into it. I know I kind of introduced it to you and all that good stuff, but what do you like about hunting?
Well, my opinion about hunting is that I just like being out in the outdoors with the animals and then getting them for food.
Yeah. Oh, so you like the aspect of, do you like the chase?
Yes, I do. I love basically chasing around to find us some food to bring back home and just have the excitement of being out in the wild. I really like it.
Yeah. So this marks your third season, right? Your third deer season,
Yep.
because you started out on the turkey hunting side. How do those two differ? How would you compare turkey hunting versus deer hunting?
Turkey hunting is a little bit more difficult than deer hunting, and
That's
turkey.
because you're hunting with me.
Well, that you do have a point there. Well, turkey hunting is just a little bit different because the biggest one is that you're not hunting a deer during turkey, you're hunting a turkey, obviously. That's the biggest difference. And also that how we do it is that we just can't hunt out in a tent while turkey hunting, but during deer season, we either camp up on a hill or in grass or just get in the sand, stand next to a feeder.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the best things about, and if you guys are listening, that's one of the best things about like taking youth out is really their enjoyment of it. But it's also really for deer season, for hunting over feeders. That's kind of did you know that's kind of a controversial topic?
No, I did not actually.
Why would you think that it's a controversy?
Well, I think it's just because,
That's a tough question, isn't
yeah,
it?
it is a tough question. Yeah,
Yeah. So,
kind of
well,
makes me think.
yeah, it's got to make you think because so you're altering deer movement based on an unnatural food source that's not normally there, right?
Right.
So, would that deer pass through if it wasn't for the feeder?
Maybe not actually. I don't think that would move through because unless there's food already there, it probably won't bother to move because it might be unnecessary.
But also, you have to think about where do you set your feeders. So when you set your feeders, and I've had a conversation about this before on the podcast, where when you set the feeder up, it's like in heavy cover, it's thick cover. I don't set them out in the open. So the other question is, would those deer be there bedded or taking a break during the day?
Well, I think that they would likely go to the feeder during the day. Be-
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
also they could go to the feeder at night. I think mostly it goes to the day
yeah.
because
Well, because you don't set your feed times, because you got to watch where you're setting your feed times. What would you say your favorite hunting is, turkey or deer hunting?
my favorite hunting is, to be honest, deer hunting. I just like it a little bit better
Just a little bit better.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Not a lot, yeah. Uh, it's just really fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun, and that's how it really, that's how it should be.
Hunting in general is just really fun.
Yeah. So, what's your favorite way to prepare deer? What's your favorite way that I cook it? Because you don't cook. I'm going to tell you that right now. You just don't cook.
Yeah, I don't really cook that
Well,
much.
unless it's microwave chicken nuggets.
That's not true, but I think I like it where I talked about how you cook kind of like a steak.
Yeah. Oh no, he's getting a call. This is the teenager in him. I forgot to tell him.
Yeah.
Hey, phone's on stun. My bad. Hey, go ahead and put your phone on stun. That's the teenager coming out of him.
Yeah.
I guess, right?
Yeah.
Whoops. But that's okay. We're okay with that. So I want to talk about your deer hunt this year. Last year you had a good hunt. You shot a very nice. Was it a 10-point?
Last year I think it might have been a 10-point. I think. Yeah.
This year was a little bit different because we had an extra person in tow.
Yeah. We had my little brother tag along. He's now 8. He's he's small. Yeah.
He's a little guy. So how did you? Let's talk about before season started. Before, because I think what a lot of our listeners want to know is like, well, how do you prepare your son to hunt for the next season? And I think that's a really good question to start looking at right now. Right now is when you should start prepping them, and taking extra precautions. So leading up to hunting season, how did you prepare yourself, and what did I have you do every day? Talk about that a little bit.
So, we kind of fired the gun without any rounds.
So dry fire practice.
Dry fire practice. Yes, that's what it's called. It's very useful. Like, it gets you in the habit of aiming, not firing at something that you don't want to fire at, and make sure you're exact on your target.
So what would you do before? What would you have to do before you started dry fire practice?
Well, I would have to recite the four gun rules.
Yep. So you would have to say, every gun is always loaded.
Yes.
So
that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So you would recite those before every dry fire practice, and then you would have to check to see if the gun was unloaded, right?
Right.
And no rounds were anywhere near the gun, right?
Right.
And then every once in a while, I would sit in there with you, right?
Oh yeah, you would.
And what would I say to you?
You would say that there's like a cow out there, and I put my finger off the trigger once that, and I always try and fire slowly because that's the best way to get the food.
Yep. So the reason why we would dry fire, I would sit in his ear basically, right? I would sit in your ear and I'd say, okay, like we're replicating this. You were using the tripod that you were going to shoot off of.
Yep.
You were using the gun you used, and then you were even using the seat that you would shoot out of. And so we try to tie everything together so you were as comfortable as you could be once you got out in the field. And so I would kind of whisper in his ear, okay, the deer's standing, the deer's not standing right? Let him turn. Okay, he's turning. Oh, he took another step. And you could see Jett's reaction to it, which I thought was pretty cool, because you would go, okay, you would be on that wall of that trigger, and then you'd kind of release it a little bit. And then again, okay, he's perfect. There's nothing behind him. And then he would press the shot. And then he would run the bolt. And then we would kind of almost redo it, maybe a different scenario, a different aiming point on the wall or something like that. But talk about how did your brother do with the dry fire practice?
He actually did pretty good for someone his age.
Yeah.
He did pretty good. He wasn't as he kind of drove a little faster, and he since he was, a little little, he couldn't really use
Right.
the bolt action. It
It was
was
a little
a
tougher.
little tougher for him. Yeah.
Yeah, because this year we're doing a whole different deal. We're developing loads specifically for their guns. So they're gonna be shooting one gun. It's actually a Sig Cross. And that actually is a great segue into our first break. We're going to take a real quick break here to hear a word from our sponsors. But Silencer Central, there's silence delivered, and there's a reason because they deliver everything to your door, which actually is great. I mean, because then you don't have to leave the confines of your home. You don't have to go down to the sheriff's office or police station to get your fingerprints, bring them back. They ship everything to you. And now with eForms, it's taking roughly around 90 days to get those back, which is a quicker turnaround than a year. Jett, do you like shooting suppressed?
Oh yes, it's a lot more quieter, and usually it's easier for some of the youth to fire because there's not a loud cow or
Yeah.
anything.
See, I mean, Jett likes it, and yeah, I think you will too. So you're running a Banish 30 this year on the Sig Cross, so that's going to be great. And that's all from Silencer Central. Visit silencercentral.com. And Sig Sauer they are the new SEC. Don't let that scare you away. The new SIG Experience Center is a state-of-the-art 40,000 square foot facility featuring the SIG Sauer flagship retail showroom, and that's actually a really cool thing. So if you've never been to SHOT Show, they have basically taken their SHOT Show booth and dropped it into this building. So it's really cool. It is beautiful. The SIG booth always gets a lot of oohs and ahs. So you've got to check it out. It's a high-tech interactive museum depicting the history of SIG Sauer and a one-of-a-kind educational experience for SIG Sauer products. An exclusive Club 1751, a multi-purpose meeting space and corporate offices and office space. They have a range. They have a flagship store. So anything SIG, you can find it there. They have a museum, a conference center. You can find out more at sigsauer.com/SIG Experience Center. Go check out Sig Sauer's new Experience Center. It is fantastic. And man, I didn't get to go. I had to stay home. You know why I didn't get to go, Jett?
Why is that?
Because I was taking you to Missouri or around the Branson area to swim in the Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah.
Was it a good time?
Oh yeah, it was a good time, but mainly the real reason why you couldn't go is because Grandma wouldn't let you. She would not let you leave.
That's a fair point. I like the give and take here. You're doing pretty good on this podcast. I do have with me Jett. He's my son, and we're talking about youth hunting. And so Jett, now the hunting season comes along. Talk a little bit about the first time we went out early season. What happened there?
Well, when we were there, it was pretty cool. We were in Oklahoma. We were just kind of
Don't
hanging
give
around.
away my spot. Don't get too specific. I'm just kidding. Go for it.
Yeah. We were camping out around the feeder. Some does came in, and Knox wanted to kind of wait a little bit. That was a wise decision of him. Trust
Well, that time, and I know what time you're talking about. There, we weren't over the feeder. We were just out in the field, sitting on a edge. I like to sit on because the feeder I had filled, the cows knocked down the fence and they ate all the corn. so, yeah. So two does came in, and I swear, this doe got closer and closer and closer. And I was like, well, Knox, buddy. And he was waiting for a broadside shot, right?
right.
Well, he never shot. And the doe how close do you think that doe was? Maybe like 30 yards?
Yeah, probably 30, maybe even 40. I'm not sure. But the doe was close.
So why did he not take that shot?
Well, that's because of the dry fire practice. It taught him not to fire in a really good shot. He waited for the perfect shot, and that was really good of him because if he fired wrong, it would have
Well, he could have
not
wounded
been.
it. You
Yeah, could
missed
have
it.
wounded it, missed it. Yeah, I. But he was waiting for the perfect shot, and that was probably the best thing for him to do instead of just going for it.
Oh yeah, it's a smart move, but it's tough to do. I even have a hard time doing it. Is waiting for a shot that you know you can make and ethically kill the animal. Right.
Right. It.
That's what we all strive for. Um. So now, and so when we went through that hunt, that was early youth season, and usually early youth season is great, right?
Right.
It's usually great, but it was hot.
Oh yeah. It was. It was hotter than it was supposed to be.
Yeah, and we really want to kind of, I like fall weather. I love youth season because, sometimes you can get a little cool weather in there and it's great. But this year is just, that last year was just not it. So now let's fast forward to rifle season, and it's colder, quite a bit colder. You haven't hunted in weather like this, have you?
Not really. I think I might have once, but I was probably too little to remember.
Yeah.
So, I guess we pretty much got a second chance to go hunting and get something. We were dry firing again, and we were prepared, and we went to back to Oklahoma to get back to the hunting. The hunting.
Right. So you let your brother have the first shot. What was going through your mind when I said there was a buck that just stepped out? What was going through your mind?
Well, I was like, "You better shoot this. You better shoot this." I'm just kidding. I was like, "Come on, Knox. You could do this. I mean, if you don't, that's okay. You'll get tons of more tries. We have like a week of this,
Yeah,
so we'll
we
get
had a week worth of hunting to do.
yes. So you could do this. Just please
And you were
don't miss.
running the camera.
Yes, I was running the camera.
How'd you do on the camera?
Uh, I mean, I'm not like you
Uh,
guys. I'm not like you guys. I'm not a professional cameraman, but hey, it was
it
good
was
enough so
good.
you could see.
Yeah,
Yes.
we captured the moment of his
Yes.
first shot, and the deer dropped, and the first words of your mouth, because I watched this video just the other day, the first words out of your mouth was, "Did he get it?" Those were your first words, and I said, "Yeah, he got it," because he shot, and this buck dropped in its tracks, and he made an absolutely just phenomenal shot. Like it was a really good shot, and if you know Knox, he is an energetic young kid. Like he's very energetic, and but man, he was cool, calm, and collected, and it was not an easy shot to make because he was sitting on my lap, and I think I was shaking harder than he was, and so he had to deal with my movement and make a good shot, and he waited until the right moment, right?
Right.
Well, all right.
Dry fire paid off.
It did. It did. It paid off, especially for him. So let's talk about, you're on the gun now. All right. Walk me through your hunt.
Well, it was pretty good. I think that we made an attempt to get another one for me, but I think that we missed it, so we went back to the feeder, and that's where we met. I think it was $2, right?
Yeah, there was 2 bucks.
Yeah. It was kind of cold out there, and
It
I
was freezing cold.
yes, it was freezing
But
cold.
I mean, sunny skies. I mean,
Guys.
it wasn't, your blistering, snow or anything like that. It was just cold.
Yeah, it was just cold, and I think my glasses were fogged up or something, but it was
Yeah.
kind of hard for me to see them.
Yeah.
The $2. So I kind of had to run the bolt and then shoot one of them. I tried to get for the most reasonable one, not just the biggest one with the best antlers.
Yeah.
I just kind of went through the one that I could shoot best.
and that's a good thing. That's a really good thing, and you put a great shot on it. I mean, you
Yeah.
shot once.
And I got it once, and I heard a clank. And we thought that it hit the we thought that it hit like the deer kicked the feeder,
Right.
and
Because the deer was right in the middle of the feeder, and you waited for him to step away from it. So you did the right thing, but we didn't expect what happened next.
yeah, so I it shot straight through the heart, and it kind of ran off a little bit. It didn't run that far. We had to look for it. I was on top of a boxcar to see if it was gonna run away or anything like that. We eventually did find it, and we were going to reset the feeder, and Dad found something.
A little bit interesting
Yeah.
because it was the day after, and the feeder didn't, it didn't kick on, and so I was a little bit confused, and so I went over to check it, and then I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking, and I'm like, I just can't figure it out. Like, so the timer was working, and then I went to put the timer back in and close everything up, and it wouldn't close right, and so I was like, oh, something's off, and I turned the timer unit around, and there's a hole through it, and I'm going, oh no, what did you do?
I shot through it.
He shot. I so and the bullet is still in there. We haven't opened it up yet. We should do that.
Yeah, we should do that one day. I still have it in my room as a trophy.
Oh, it's a trophy and an extra expense for me. Thanks, Jett.
You're welcome.
but so the bullet had shot through the deer, went through a wire cage, and perfectly, I'm telling you, it's center. It couldn't have hit it better. It didn't bust the motor of the feeder, but it shot through the timer where that caused the relay from timer to motor wouldn't register. And so, I mean, perfectly center punched a perfectly good timer. But did you feel bad at least?
No.
What? No. Why not?
I mean, I didn't really think those things were expensive, but now
Well,
I
because you're not paying for it.
yeah, exactly. But now that I kind of see it, I kind of feel a little bad at times, but sometimes I just feel like, huh, I shot it.
That's
That was
it.
really lucky for me.
Lucky for you, yeah. That's yeah,
And unlucky for you.
very unlucky for me. That's money.
Yep.
Okay, so do you have any questions for me?
Yes. So, did you learn anything from hunting for all these years? I mean, for me, I learned a lot of respect for nature. Did you learn the same thing, or was it a
Yeah,
little bit
I
different?
I learned that's a really good question because I really kind of learned that every hunt is different, and you have an opportunity to learn something from the hunt, even if it's not successful. Um, the hunt that we went on in early youth season, and it was so hot. I learned a little bit about the deer movement and their travel patterns, and how they change on the development of a really high heat index, and I really feel that I can go out and be a little bit more successful than we were. I also learned that you got to pack plenty of snacks because Knox will run through them. But that's a good question. That's a really good question. And anytime you're out, there's always something to do, right?
Oh yeah, there's a lot to do out there.
Yeah. Any more?
Even if you can't get anything, there's still a lot to do.
So, what's your favorite thing to? I guess I'll kick a question back to you. What's your favorite thing to do when you're out hunting and you're not hunting?
Well, my favorite thing to do is just hang around the people I'm hanging around with, which is mostly family and friends. I just love to kind of uh, hear funny stories, just talking about stuff.
Yeah.
It's just really fun, and also the snacks. The snacks are good.
Snacks. Snacks.
Yep,
That's
that's
what
all I
it's
care about.
that's what it's about, right? And going to Brahms
Oh yeah.
and all my Oklahoma friends out there and Oklahoma folks listening out there, you know what Brahms is. Brahms is good.
Oh yeah, it is.
You just like the ice cream.
No, I like the French fries, the chicken tenders, all that. I love
See,
a lot
yeah,
about it.
it's good stuff. So any more questions for me?
Uh, yes, I do. So what I've been wondering, are there any what do you think is better, fishing or hunting? And tell me their advantages over each other.
My gosh, you came prepared. I would. So I believe that fishing is a lot like hunting, and I think fishing is a hunt because I got to spend a lot of time around a bunch of professional anglers and professional fishermen, and I still do, and many of them are dear friends of mine, and they are on the hunt. They're just using a different method of harvest or a different method of catch, if you will.
You do have a point in there. Instead of using a rifle, you are using a fishing rod or net.
Right. Right. And so it's a different way because you're searching. Like it's just, underground. Like you're just searching in the water. You're hunting for those fish. If I had a preference, if I had to do one thing for the rest of my life, I would hunt. I like kind of like you. I like being out in nature. I like really pursuing game and trying to figure them out because it's just different.
Well, in my opinion, while you're fishing, depending on where you are kind of in nature. You're kind of like where,
It's a different kind of nature. I see
yeah,
what you're saying.
yeah, it's a different kind though.
I see what you're saying. I think that's a good point. Yeah, because there's, you see everything around you. You just can't see underwater unless you're using some good live scope or
Or
sonar.
those sunglasses that you
The
use.
polarized.
Yeah, the those.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, the advantages of each. I mean, you get to, on in certain species, you are fishing for food and you're hunting for food. So I think that's a good advantage of each. I love the pursuit of of figuring out fish. Um, I was on Sam Rayburn one time, fishing reservoir in Texas, and I just happened to figure out a good pattern. Like I figured them out, and that was one of the best times I've ever had on a lake is when I figured out the pattern that the fish were on. And I get the same way if I'm hunting elk or I'm hunting deer or antelope or something like that. When I figure out their pattern and I feel like I got them, but there's always those times when they flip the switch on me and all of a sudden, man, I don't have them figured out anymore.
Yeah.
So you got any more questions?
Uh, well, not really. Not that much questions. Not that many good questions.
So what are you looking forward to this season? You are going out, and what are you most looking forward now that you have another hunting partner?
Well, now that I'm looking forward to just hanging out in nature with my family and maybe my friends if they want to tag along,
Yeah.
and also just being out in nature. Like I
Yeah.
just said, it's very. It just won't be the same if we were just if we were doing the set hanging out in a
In a
city
house.
per se.
Yeah.
City, yeah. And I just like the pursuit and the adventure of hunting
Yeah.
for your own food, and it gives you a little bit of feeling of self-reliance that you don't need a store to provide for you to provide from.
Yeah. What lesson do you hope to learn this season?
Well, I hope to learn
Patience. No.
patience. I mean, I'm kind of good with patience.
You are. You're very good at patience.
Yeah, and I hope to kind of learn patterns of deer like you and basically what nature has to offer for me.
So I do have to tell a quick story on you. Um, so we talked a little bit about my youngest son's deer that walked real close, and never shot it. And we were walking back, and we were done with the hunt. We were headed back, and you had tears in your eyes.
Oh.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, a little, because I was kind of I think that was one of the first hunts I didn't get something. I mean, now if I don't get something, I am perfectly fine with it. But let me tell you a story about you now.
Oh gosh, I don't.
During hunting, while Knox actually got his deer, we were cleaning it out. Me, Parker, and Liv, and
Yeah.
also Knox were just playing around. There are some kids that, Mr. Ryan's kids, that also came with us. And Dad left his wallet on top of the tailgate, and he was like, "Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Don't forget it."
Literally said that to myself.
Yes. And when we got
Guess what I did?
he forgot it, and he left it there. He left it right there, and I think it hopped off at one point. It actually, and then I think we were stopped somewhere, and Dad was
Because I
like,
remembered.
"Oh no,
I remembered. I forgot
it."
Yep.
And so we had to go back. We had to go back all the way to where we started, and then we had to kind of scour around and trying to find it. And it was a little stressful. Dad in his mind tried to look relaxed, but
I tried to be relaxed.
But I knew I was like, I knew he was like.
What was the first thought in your mind,
stupid?"
though?
I thought like, oh no, this is not that good. Dad's gonna get really, really mad.
No, first thing you thought, you told me that was, oh no, we can't buy anything.
No, that's Knox. That was
Knox.
Knox.
That's true. That was Knox. I remember now.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, all good stuff. And we'll have you back on. We'll have you back on Gun Talk Hunt. And we'll have you talking about hopefully your successful deer season, because we're gonna go again. We'll take your little brother, and we'll have a good time.
Yeah. Oh, and we did find the wallet. Just telling you.
Thank
if you're worried about it.
You're clear. You know what? That's the second time I have lost my wallet on a hunt. So maybe I should paint my wallet bright orange. All right, guys, that's it for this Gun Talk Hunt. As always, keep those muzzles pointed in a safe direction, and always be on the hunt.